Hello, everyone. Welcome to Winged Horse Designs. My name is Donna Goodwin. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Brookings, South Dakota. Today I'm going to bring you this flip flap shutter fold. So there's a lot of moving parts on this. I could just sit here and do this all day. There's a lot of moving parts on this, but I think you're going to find, even though there's a lot of bits and pieces and moving parts, it's actually pretty easy to make if you just take it one step at a time, and I'm going to show you those steps. However, before I switch cameras, last Monday on my live stream, I did this Star Gatefold card for you. And during the live, this went out to Betty, and hopefully she's received it in the mail by now. And for those of you who liked, commented, and shared on the live and liked and commented and shared on the replay, this card is going out to an individual from the YouTube side who goes by the name of BLT. So if you're watching this week, BLT, please respond to me privately with your mailing address, and I'll get this card mailed out to you. And you can find the link to my email address in the About section of my YouTube channel. I'm going to switch cameras, and we're going to go ahead and get started on this. Okay, so here's a little bit better view. And it's, like I said, it's a moving card, but I just really liked the way it moves back and forth. Like I said, I could sit here and play with this all day. And so it's a great one to work with pretty patterned papers, designer series papers. I didn't use as many as I could. I could have used designer series papers on these panels on the front as well, but I opted to stamp them instead. So this has some designer series paper, and then when you completely rotate over on the back in here is some designer series paper, and then I have some designer series paper here as well. And this is the Fresh as a Daisy designer series paper. So I'm going to put this up in the corner while we're working. And some things I want to talk about before I really get into the card. I played around with a lot of pieces of paper. I just take some scrap paper. Usually it's scrap grid paper of some sort. And I cut and I play and I cut and play, because every place that I found this, it was a much larger card, and I wanted to downsize it to a card that would fit in a standard Stampin' Up! Envelope. So I needed to downsize this to 4 1/4 inches by 5.5 inches. So I played around, and then after I got all that done, normally that's where I would stop when I'm playing with fun folds. I went ahead and I cut out some white cardstock so that I could make sure that my moving mechanisms would work. And you can see my little notes. I have all my directions here, but it's just all tacked together so I can easily take it apart and look at all my measurements. So I recommend, when you're trying something new, play with paper first. That way you're not using up any of your pretty cardstock or your pretty patterned paper. When I get to the measurements, they are in the description, so you won't need to write them down. I did choose to use the Cheerful Daisies bundle. I'm using the designer series paper, and I'm using the stamp set, but I'm not using the dies today. And I just simply love this one. So I chose You Made My Day for the top because, kind of, the autofocus on the camera is going to be tough today. I thought, this is kind of a good saying, you made my day. And then for the inside, I chose Your Friendship Means Everything. If you wanted to, you could, see if I can hold this here, you could stamp inside each piece. And then in order to have a place to write, just put a piece of light cardstock on the back. So I'm going to set this aside as well, because I already have my stamps mounted. And then rather than use those, you could just use plain cardstock cut trimmed down, but I wanted this little detail here along the edge. So I pulled a die from the Sending dies that actually coordinate with the Sending Smiles stamp set, and to use for the sentiment. So measurements, like I said, there are a lot of pieces to this, but don't let that intimidate you. And it's time for me to ask a couple questions in the comments. So there you go. You're going to need 2 pieces, probably the same color. I chose to do the same color, but you need a card base that measures 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. And then you need a piece that also measures 4 inches by 5½ inches to be used for your picture frame for the front. You're going to need 3 pieces to be your moving panels. These are 2 inches by 4¼ inches. And there'll be some scoring and some cutting that we're going to do on those. So I'll set those aside. Either designer series pretty papers or paper to stamp on that measures 1 3/8 by 3 1/8 of a measurement. And then for your pretty papers, you're going to want a piece that measures 4¼ inches by 5½ inches, the same size as your frame. You're going to want 3 pieces that measure 1 3/8 of an inch by 3 1/8 of an inch. So if you weren't stamping these, if you were using patterned paper for your front panel here, you'd have 6 of those. And then if you choose to put paper back here, you don't have to put paper back here, but if you choose to use paper back here, and the reason I chose to use paper back here is it hides the mechanisms here and makes it a clean finish. And I can show you on this side. You wouldn't be able to so much just do it on this side, but it hides all these little tabs and just gives it a clean finished look. So if you choose to do it that way, you need one that measures 3/8 of an inch by 4 1/8 of an inch, 2 pieces that measure 1 3/8 of an inch by 4 1/8 of an inch, and 1 piece that measures 1 7/8 of an inch by 4 1/8 of an inch. If you're just joining us, welcome. We're working on just getting started on a flip flap shutter card. I have to make sure I say that slower. I'll totally mess that up. So I'm going to start first with the frame piece. And what I did is I actually took and I drew pencil marks on the back side of the side I'm going to use. I'm going to use this wild wheat side. And I drew pencil marks so that when I glue it down, I can put glue just in here. I want to get glue pretty close to the edge, but I didn't want to necessarily get glue in where it's going to be cut. That way I can use this piece on another project. So I'm going to go ahead and take some liquid glue because it'll give me a chance to get things lined up. And I'm going to put glue in between the edge and that 1/2 inch that I'm going to cut. And that's the biggest change I made to the flip flap shutter card samples that I have been able to find via Pinterest and YouTube. Is their larger card. You have this frame piece. This frame piece here is 5/8 of an inch, and I had to cut, in order to get it down to 4 1/4 inch card, I had to cut it down to a 1/2 inch. So this way the glue is only where the frame is going to be, and I'm just going to line this up on top of the cardstock because we need something that has some weight to it. The time change, I think, Terry, has gotten to a lot of people. So I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer, and I'm going to trim out the inside with a 1/2 inch margin all the way around. Put my scoring blade out of the way. My trimmer has measurements on the right side as well, so I'm going to put that at a 1/2 inch. And I'm going to use my little ruler here at a 1/2 inch, and I'm going to cut down to the 5 inch mark. And I'm going to do this all the way around. I'm going to cut it a 1/2 inch in. This is probably going to be a little bit longer than 1/2 an hour this week, but I guarantee you it won't be more than an hour. And I can guarantee that because my doggie has an appointment with the doggy doctor, so can't be late for that. And I'm just gonna, well, we're just gonna leave it in underneath here. And we'll finish this off where I didn't get it quite on top of it. This one didn't quite catch all the way through. I just didn't press hard enough, maybe. There we go. So we have our frame, and then we have, I guess I did get some glue on there we go. I did get a little bit of glue on there, but now I still have two pieces. I can still use this big piece of Designer Series paper, and there's quite a bit of use I can get out of this piece as well. So I'll set those aside for some other project on another day. And I'll set that aside. And the next thing we need to deal with are these pieces. So these are our 3 shutter panels that measure 2 inches by 4 1/4 inches. And we are going to score on 3 sides at 1/2 inch. So we'll score on 1. And the 2 short sides are 3. And then we're going to come back in, and on this long side, we're just going to score down to this. See if I can get it where it can show up. Hold still, Donna. We're going to score down just to this score line here. We're not going to score all the way down. And that's basically just giving us a guideline of where to do our cutting. So on this side where we scored it all the way down, we're just going to cut out this piece here. And I'm actually going to cut just inside the score line to the center. And then we're going to cut up and cut this piece out. Again, just to the inside of the score line. And then we're going to come to the other side, and we're going to cut up this score line just to the inside and do a tiny little wedge on our flap side. And we'll do that to all 3 pieces. I've actually sliced this one with my paper trimmer just to make it easier. And to save a bit of time on this. And then we're going to fold each of these flaps in and give them good crease, and we're going to fold them back because this shutter is going to go back and forth, back and forth. So each of these pieces need to be folded really good in both directions. And if you're just joining us, welcome. We're doing a flip flap shutter card today. And again, fold them back the other way. And I've already done this one. So you're going to have 3 pieces that are going to nestle in together like this. When they get all together, they're going to nestle. I guess nestle's not necessary, but they're all going to fit together. So let's go ahead and stamp our panels for the front. And I'm just going to take a piece of double-sided removable tape and lay it down so that I can just hold these in place while I stamp them. And I'm coming in with 4 ink colors today. Oh, thank you for taking time out to watch me. Please don't be shy, folks. I love comments, so if you enjoy what you're seeing, please do like, comment, and share. I'm using boho blue, wild wheat, garden green, and lemon lolly. So I'm going to start with my boho blue. And I forgot to mention, Stampin' Up! Actually has a designer series paper, or a pretty paper, I guess you could call it, sale going on the entire month of June. So you can get up to 15% off on select papers. You can find those in my Shop Now link down below. I have 2 different shop links. One is a host code if you want to purchase under 150. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, of course, I would love to be your demonstrator. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp the You Make My Day in boho blue while I have it out. And then I'll switch colors. I should have my foam mat underneath here. My desktop has a cushion, so I forget about that. And then with the wild wheat, I'm actually going to stamp off with the wild wheat because it's a pretty strong color. So for my flower centers, I'm just going to stamp off that so that I get just I don't want it to overwhelm my flower. And then I'm going to come in with garden green for my stems and leaves. Sometimes getting these lined up when you can't have your head directly over the top of them is a little on the challenging side. And then with my leaves, I'm just going to do some stamping and stamping off. So I'm going to stamp the bottom one full strength. And then, well, that was the bottom one, wasn't it? That one's got a kind of a funny look to it. There we go. We'll do the bottom one Can I get it lined up? We'll see. Oh, I surprise myself sometimes. Oh, I did it again. There we go. And then I'm going to come in. I felt like it needed a little bit of a background of some sort. So I thought I would use Lemon Lolly and again stamp off just to give it a little bit behind it. Just so it wasn't quite as stark by itself. And I just stamped randomly. Just ever so slightly. I know you can probably not see it very well on the camera, but just ever so slightly fill in those white spaces. Now, I'm a firm believer in white space and love my white space, but I felt that these needed a little bit of something in them. Now we have one more bit of stamping. On our back piece, we need to stamp our second inside sentiment. And I chose "Your friendship means everything." So I thought, with the outside greeting of "You made my day," I thought "Your friendship means everything" was a good sentiment to match with that. And I'm stamping that directly on the Designer Series paper. Now we get to start trying to put this all together. So there's a few little tricks that we'll talk about when we get there. So I want my cutout to face left, and I'm just going to layer these panels on. Stampin' Up! Also has a joining special in the month of June. Normally you can get $125 worth of product for $99, but in the month of June you can get $155 worth of product for $99. So if you're interested in any of those things, you can click on the links in the down below in the description to get more information. Okay, so this shutter is going to go this way, and this one this way, and this one this way, and that would give you your back. So we'll go ahead and put our pretty papers on the back. That is a great question, Terry. I'll be enjoying that one late. Welcome, Brenda. And for anyone else, if you happen to be just now joining us, we are doing a flip flap shutter card. Okay, there are those pieces. Now we need to bring in our base. I'm going to flip these back to the front side again. We're going to start on our far left and work to our right. And we need to glue just this little flap here down. So I'm just going to put some. You could use liquid glue like I'm using, or you could use tear and tape. I like the liquid glue when I'm really trying to get something lined up here. So we're going to line this one up flush to the edge along the bottom, the top, and the left. And I'm just going to hold this here for a moment till it gets a chance to really adhere. Then we're going to take our next one again. We're going to use this one, but we need to fold these flaps back out of the way so that we don't glue these flaps to these flaps. We're going to get these as close as we possibly can, but allow them enough room to be able to move. And again, line up the top and the bottom edge and put them down. And then our last one. Fold these back out of the way. Bring this one in. Make sure I didn't get these glued down permanently. There we go. Okay. Now in order to cover those up, we'll put in the designer series paper for the back here. And like I said, you don't necessarily have to have these pieces. They just give you they give you more of a finished look because they're going to cover up these pieces here so they don't show as you're moving your card forward and back. And if you're local to me here in Brookings, I do offer classes here at my home every month. They happen to be next week, and Saturday is the last day in which to register for those. You can find that. It'd be my calendar link down in the description at the bottom. We're just going to work our way across. When I get done with the demonstration, I will answer questions, and then we'll do our giveaway. With our giveaway tool that pulls from those of you in the giveaway tool pulls from comments. So in order to be in the giveaway, you do need to put in some type of a comment. Okay, we are going to fold them as though it was open and fold each of these flaps back. We're going to put adhesive on this side of the flaps. Again, we're going to put it on all of them. Okay, here's the trick. Start on this side, start on your right side. I'm actually going to flip mine so that the right side's on the bottom. Line this up and work your way to the left, keeping this lined up on the top and the bottom. And then I'm just going to hold it here for a moment, kind of give it a good little back rub to make sure that it adheres before I actually test it. And it should. Flip, flap, shutter. Let's go. I must be moving too much. The camera's really having a tough time autofocusing. And I'm just going to use, I actually pre-cut one out just to save some time. I'm going to use some mini dimensionals to put these down. If you don't have mini dimensionals, just take a couple regular dimensionals and cut them in half. And you can put your sentiment on the top or on the bottom. I'm just going to go ahead and go with the top. Or you could stamp sentiments on the front too if you like. Like I said, you could also stamp sentiments inside each panel. And let's finish this card off with some adhesive backed solid gems. They come in Lemon Lolly, Boho Blue, and Pecan Pie. And I'm going to use some of the Lemon Lollies and some of the Boho Blues. So let's put some Boho Blues up here on our sentiment. Make it look like it's been hammered into our frame. And then just some little yellow Lemon Lollies because we can and because they're pretty. So there you have a flip flap shutter card. Now let's see, switch cameras, Donna. There we go. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Let's go ahead and look at the different comments that we have and any questions that we have. So let's see. With Inked Fingers, Laura, I believe she's from the UK, but I'm not positive. Says she's seen this fold before, but she had forgotten about it. So she posted way early before I actually went live. So I hope I met your expectations. And let's see, that's me, that's me, that's me. We don't care about me and the questions that I asked. Terry said she was a little late. The time change got her. I think the time change got a lot of you. I just felt that, it's nice for me to be able to be outside in the early morning hours before it gets too hot. So for the summer, I switched it up. And you're crafting today too. Took some time out to watch you. Thank you, Terry. Thank you for watching me. Brenda, she's late, but she's here. And so Terry asked a question, is there a trick to keep your Tombow glue from clogging up? So let's see, this one I've been using, so it's not necessarily clogged up. Let's see if I have one that's clogged up. It's not, but typically when they get clogged up, that's usually because there's some, oh yes it is, there's some glue around the outside edges of this, and you just have to pull that glue off of the outside edges because it's kind of dried. And then if it still doesn't want to come out even after, excuse the noise here, even after tapping it, and then if it's still not coming out, I don't want to put it on my hands either. If it still doesn't want to come out evenly, well, that one came out this time, but if it still doesn't want to come out evenly, sometimes you got to take some type of a paper piercing tool and dig into that hole, but don't dig too far because you don't want to expand the hole and make it really wide. And there might be some residual glue that dried down into that a little bit, and pry that out. But that's how there's no way to really stop it from clogging, but that's how you deal with the clogging. And that's why you notice when I'm putting glue down, I always start in the middle of my cardstock and then go the outside edge, because as you're squeezing and trying to determine how much pressure you need to get that glue to come out, then invariably it doesn't come out, so you keep squeezing hard, and then all of a sudden you get a big gush of glue. At least then it's in the middle of the cardstock and not on the edge. You liked this card. Great. I'm glad you liked it. And oh yeah, you really liked this card. Okay, so I'm going to go and queue up the giveaway tool. It'll take me a couple seconds, and there is a little bit of a delay. So if there are any of you watching who have not yet commented besides Terry and Brenda, here's your chance to get in to the drawing. So let me get this queued up here. And I want this one. All right. Here we go. It says there's 5, but I'm asked questions, so I'm one of them that's in there. But Terry, congratulations, Terry. You're getting the Flip Flap Shutter card. So I'll get that off to you. Actually, I'm going to see you tomorrow, so I'll just hand deliver it to you. Thank you, everyone, for spending 30 plus minutes with me this week, since this one takes a little bit longer. But again, if you just take it one step at a time, it's a very easy card to do. And I have a video I've already recorded to upload on Friday. I think you're really going to like it. It is a twisted easel card. I shouldn't give you a sneak peek, but I will. There's your sneak peek. Okay. Using the sweet citrus. And I had a lot of fun making that one. I think you'll have a lot of fun watching that video. And then I will be back again next Monday, 2 p.m., live streaming to you with are you ready for it? A triple easel card. So have a wonderful week, everyone. Happy trails.